Alright guys, welcome to RC Mojo. This week we're going to take a look at a new project. Yes, we have a Tamiya wrecker / tow truck. Not something I was planning to put together. I was content just looking at them as the moths found their way out of my wallet. But my friend Ben, who runs Oxfordshire Outback Truckers, you should be seeing a bit of footage from last week's meet now, he had the kit and wanted it building, and well, he asked me to build it, and who could say no to that? I'll stick a link to the club's Facebook page in the description if you want to know more. Anyway, back to the kit. First off, the box is enormous and weighs an absolute ton. It's got all the fancy box art you'd expect from Tamiya, lots of accessory bits to drool over, and vital statistics to take in. I know these days of online shopping it doesn't really mean much, but I do like a nicely designed box. Because the box is so big, I can't pull the top off with it in my filming area as it hits the shelf above just before clearing, so I will have to remove the lid off camera. Inside the box we get more boxes. No blister pack showing the fancy parts, but we do get a nice side-on diagram of the rear section. Inside the box we get lots of large plastic bits, looks like the rear box and the body parts. Underneath we have yet more boxes as well as some loose parts in the middle. If we pull out one of the boxes we see there's yet another box underneath. So I think what we're going to do is move the box off camera and bring the parts in one at a time to have a look. I've got an idea, space is going to be a bit of a premium with this one. Right, now with a bit more space let's go through all the bits. I'm going to guess there's no real pattern to what's in the boxes. I think they're just packed based on how tightly they could pack all the bits to keep the overall box size down. In the first bag we have the 3-speed gearbox clutches, which should be familiar to anyone who's built a Tamiya lorry. There's also the gears, of course. This tree has some cross members and mounts. I think this is a common one as it looks like it's got the fuel tank mounts from the other kits too. More cross members on a rather strange long thin parts tree, and we've also got the ties that attach the upper and lower chassis. Two more X-shaped cross members. This one's got some servo arms, rod ends, and I think some leaf spring mounts. It's also got the parts for the sprung cab tray. However, the FH16 cab is fixed at both ends, so we're not going to be needing them. Here we have some specific parts for the wrecker. We've got the winch spools and the mounting plates. Another common set of parts, the 3-speed gear cases. This one has the battery tray, which will take square LiPo packs, which is rather nice. We've also got some more servo arms, which is a bit odd, but I suppose they must be slightly different to the other ones. Servo saver packs, which are pretty standard among lots of Tamiya models. They're not the best. Usually you end up with a bit of wobble around centre, which isn't brilliant, but they will protect plastic gear servos quite nicely. This one's an FH16 specific tree. We've got the air intake parts and lots of small accessory parts, which concludes box 1. Right, next up we've got another box. This one's got a window in it to show off the fancy metal grille, which is nice. The grille parts are very nicely done, etched with lots of detail. Here we have some rear tyres with a nice deep block pattern. They look nice and aggressive, but they might be a bit on the hard side. The next bag has some more rear tyres and a standard set of 4 wide Euro front tyres. Here's the shift rod for the 3-speed. Now it's just a rod with lots of E-clip slots, so there's not much to see. The first metal parts bag, which actually contains several bags. You can see the labels for the others inside. Next up is another bag of bags with a huge amount of metal parts, screws, nuts and all sorts of other goodies. The fancy Tamiya motor is a nice upgrade from the typical 27-turn silver can. However, I think it's still only 35 turns, so it's probably a bit fast for an indoor layout. Typically we use 55 to 80 turns to get the super smooth low speed throttle. Having said that, it could be a 5-slot COM, in which case it would be very low RPM. More investigation is required. Next is a big steel bracket used to attach the wheel cradle widget on the bottom of the vertical bit. Yeah, I know my use of technical terms is unmatched. But the main thing is it's a nice big bracket. And last out of the box is the prop shaft. Like the other long wheelbase trucks, it's an aluminium tube with steel dog bones pressed into the ends. Next box, we've got the one we had a quick peek in. First out we have the chassis rails. Now for comparison, they're a similar length to the Grand Hauler, maybe a little bit longer, but they do have a lot more holes to mount all the gubbins. These are the boxes that make up the storage that goes along the chassis. They're going to be really useful for mounting the extra electronics. Of course, you get two of these, one for the left and one for the right. These two aluminium angle parts make up the upper chassis that carries various bits and bobs, the rear storage, plus the dividers for the middle ones. And these are the rear body parts that go over the storage. Next box, which is only a small one, we have the windows, which thankfully are only slightly tinted clear. Great news if you want to run an FPV rig and hide the camera in the cab. We've got lots of chrome parts, we've got the step plates, rear lights, and well, all sorts really. Interior parts, which has the dash and the seats, really high quality as you'd expect. It almost seems a shame to put them inside the cab. This one has the rear support legs. Unfortunately they're manual, so you have to slide them out and down yourself. It would be nice if they were motorized, but it might be a bit tricky to do. Another box, this is the one from the middle. We've got the FH16 cab, which of course is rather excellent. I've seen static kits with less detail. Lovely. The roof, which comes in two parts. Chrome front wheels with the separate ring that goes around the wheel nuts. There's loads of small parts in this one. I can see the uprights, spacers for the leaf spring mounts, and lots of other bits and bobs. This one's got more chrome light buckets, the base for the beacon roof light, and the body section that sits behind the cab. Here we have more chrome. Interestingly, the big part with the Volvo angled line is fully chromed, when it's only the line and the circle for the logo that really needs to be chrome. The rest is going to end up being painted black. On this one we have the electronics tray that fits under the cab, plus the other brackets that make up the rest of it. Here's the other set of front wheels, and lots of rear wheels making up all the dualies. Well, we're running out of space already, but would you believe there's still another box of bits to go through? We've got more of the cab parts, the side, steps, and the front panel. The lower sides for the rear body. Lenses for the roof beacon, among other things. The rear body parts and some other miscellaneous bits. More clear parts making up the rest of the light lenses. Red lenses for the rear lights, orange lenses for the beacon and the running lights. This tree has the fuel tank which covers the battery, which is nice, exhaust and some other bits. Here we have the storage doors, the hinges and lots of cover plates. Two really chunky aluminium parts for the telescopic boom. I can't see these having any issues lifting even the heaviest trucks. Here we have the decal sheet with loads of decals. I'm not sure how many we're going to use. I tend to like to paint the details where I can. Excellent quality though, as you'd expect from Tamiya. They still provide us with an antenna tube, which is a little bit quaint these days. An H-gate for the stick radio when using an MFC. A nice yellow sheet with warnings and a guide for using the lift. The manual, which is huge. I think it's probably the thickest Tamiya manual I've come across. I think this one is going to take a little while to get through. Also, something I've not seen before in a Tamiya, the parts listing and tree diagrams are in a separate leaflet, which is going to be really handy when tracking down parts without having to keep flicking through the manual. Another thing I really like, the paint and decal guide is a full colour glossy sheet. It makes it super clear what to do to replicate the box art. It would look pretty good framed on a wall too. Or that might just be me. They even give you a little guide for mounting the H-gate to a radio, which just involves a bit of double-sided tape, but it's nice they've put the extra effort in. Lastly, you get the standard sheet with warnings of death and destruction that I don't think anyone actually ever reads. So that's what you get in the box. You do get quite a lot of kit. But that's not all you need to make the truck go. You're going to need a radio, ESC, some servos at the very least. My friend Ben, though, went a little bit mad. So here we have another big box of stuff to go with it. Right, first out we have a full set of Lisu tyres. They have a similar block pattern to the Tamiya rear ones, but I think they should be a little bit softer. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to fit on the wide Euro front wheels without a bit of thought. We're either going to need some US style wheels or we'll modify the stock ones. We've got two high torque servos. They're just your typical fairly low cost ones with the red aluminium centre, so they should do the job quite nicely. We've got a Carson Poison motor, which will bring the top speed right down to something sensible for indoor use and make the low speed control a lot smoother. Here's a full set of bearings, as Tamiya only include plastic and bronze bushings. More lights, including an aluminium light bar for the roof, a light bar for the grille with two spotlights, a set of extra long Tamiya light sets for the rear lights, a beacon light with RGB LEDs and multiple lighting patterns. Here we have a replacement set of grills with orange lights. We've got three mini cameras, a 5.8 gig transmitter and a camera switch for an FPV setup. We've got a 6-channel radio link transmitter. Now it's a wheel radio, which is just fine, but it's going to be a challenge to make it work for reasons that will come up momentarily. There's also a 6-channel receiver that goes with the transmitter. And then we have the Tamiya MFC03, which of course famously is only really compatible with a stick radio due to all the stick stirring you need to do to activate various functions. Not only that, but it's really meant for a stick radio with mechanical trims. Now you can fudge that of course with clever use of dual rates, but it's still going to make life interesting. Making it work with a real radio is going to be a bit of a challenge, but it's nothing another microcontroller and some miscellaneous electronics can't handle, I'm sure. We can use it to do some other fancy things with all those extra lights too. Next up, we have the Actuator kit for the boom. The standard build has the boom at a fixed height. This kit lets us remotely lift and lower it for almost hands-free recovery. When we get to it, we'll also have a set of videos looking at the MFC and Actuator installed separately from the kit build, since they're a bit of an investment by themselves. I think an awful lot of builders are going to be looking at them as an upgrade after already having built the kit. Right, so there we go. That's quite a stack of parts, but we still got to add a battery, some paint, and the yet to be designed custom electronics that will end up as a Tamiya wrecker. I think it's going to take a while though. I was hoping to have some FTX smaller upgrades this week, but on checking my pile of parts I'm still missing some bits. And I've only just got around to cleaning the SEX-10-3 after running it in some rather sticky mud. So you're getting introduced to the wrecker a couple of weeks early. But still, here it is, one huge pile of bits. Right, as always then, thanks for watching. Thanks to Ben for letting me build his truck. Like if you liked, subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment if there's something on your mind. Bye guys!